my voice will travel. I mean, to the recording. It will travel to the class. So my name is Avi Kelman. So today we're gonna learn about trust and relationships, but not just relationships with people, but first and foremost, relationship with ourselves, and then relationship with everything surrounding us. There's a lot of things surrounding us in life. Sometimes we pay attention to them. Most of the time we don't. There's many things happening, especially now with the age that is spiritually called the age of Aquarius, but what we see, the age of technology, the age of information. So much information is created every single day. And we are bombarded, and therefore it distracts us sometimes for the true reality that's around us. So, first of all, a little bit about myself and a little bit about what I call soul fusion.
You want me to close that door?
I just want to make sure that people know when they come so we can.
I'll leave it a little bit ajar. How's that?
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
We won't let them distract us. So I started my spiritual awakening thousands of years ago. If you believe in reincarnation or you believe in past lives, this is not my first trip around trying to figure out the world. Those that they don't believe in reincarnation and don't believe we have past lives. In this lifetime, I started around 30 years ago with dabbling, trying to understand, like every person in the world, trying to understand what's around us. I had a feeling, I had some religious background from my dad that most of us have. You know, some people go to churches, some people go to synagogues, some people go to Buddhist temples. My experience with religion was not good at all. Although the feeling that there's something more powerful was all the time there. So I was reading books, actually stumbled on tarot cards. They were a little bit weird, although they were very, very powerful. Saw that there's a very dark side part of tarot cards, although there's a lot of light with a lot of wisdoms there. Depends how you use it. And saw there that there's the way that they interpret tarot cards was through Kabbalah. Oh, Kabbalah I heard of. My father had a few books about it. Actually, my father had a library triple the size. Thousands of books. I had to go. I went almost every single book to try to find those two small books that I knew he had and he bought for my brother a long, long time ago. And through that, I found books that my grandfather was studying. Very old books, 100 years old. And immediately when I saw that, I knew this is a path that I should read. I read the books by Rav Berg, if you heard of the Kabbalah Center. And since then, I've been studying for many years Kabbalah and also teaching. Teaching in different forms, teaching Kabbalah, then going teaching spirituality, then going being coaching in different phases. But through this, I was learning the Dharma, I was learning Buddhism, I was learning about physics. Physics is very interesting, the whole quantum physics that's coming in, and it seemed to be very connected to Kabbalah and to spirituality. And then I was studying Qigong, that brought the awaken in the physical reality. I had 3 masters. Now my master is Sifu, that he's the master here, Sifu Dashi. But through this study and through my connecting to, in the beginning I thought I'm just connecting to things that I know, like every person was born just knowing. But how can you be born with just knowing? There's other lifetimes. Connecting to that, I thought about the idea of, the word that came to my head was soul fusion. And when people ask me what does soul fusion mean, it's the idea I start with myself, and then I go with people that I know, people that I try to help them grow spiritually. I find that each one of us is unique. They say that there's 72 paths to enlightenment. And each one of us chooses a different path. Every soul feels, feels more connected to Buddhism, feels more connected to Kabbalah, some feel more connected to Islam, some feel more connected to Christianity, and there's many more paths. But what I found with myself and with people that were trying to help them to elevate, that each one of us have a unique path to get to enlightenment. And it's a combination of many different wisdoms, many different ideas, because we have, although we have similar lives, but we have our unique life. Although we are similar sometimes with our thought, but we have our own thinking. And there's a saying that helped me to understand it more. There's a saying, whatever is not true to everybody is not the truth. Truth has to be for everybody. The saying was about spirituality. So when you're a teacher, you should think about your student as not as a person that doesn't know, and you're trying to explain to them, but as a person that wants to be enlightened, and if they don't understand you, is not because they're not smart. It's because that piece of information you gave them does not pertain to them. So as a teacher, you should go and develop it and try to figure out how it could be pertain to that person. And when that person understands it, now it becomes more truth. That's where the saying comes from. But I was taking that a step further, is that how you can have truth where we all disagree with each other. Like, we all have some conflict with somebody. We have some argument with somebody. Not all the time we agree with something that another person says. So how can it be then there's no truth? And what we see that there's an individual truth. That means something is true for you does not mean maybe it's the total opposite than you. Maybe you walk life in this way and you walk life in this way. It doesn't contradict. And you see it in a light bulb. Where a light bulb, you have two forces that are complete opposite, right? Plus and minus. And you have this filament that bridges between them. And when the light is on, you do not see the difference between the right and the left. You do not see the difference between the yin and the yang. You don't see the difference between anything. When the light is on, seems to be everything comes into place. We are different people. We have in this world different entities, animals, earth, water, the sky, planets. All of them work perfectly together, although they have so many differences. Each one is going on a different vibe. Everybody's going on a different energy, and seem to be everything comes together. So the idea that we have our own truth does not contradict that somebody's truth is a little bit different than ours. So therefore, I came to say, okay, wait a minute. I had a problem when I went to a synagogue. When I go to a church, I also feel a little bit awkward. I go to, because I was searching, where should I go to? We in the temple. Some people in the temple, oh, I feel good. But then when chanting starts, I don't feel comfortable. And then I saw that it's not only my problem, it's the problem of everybody in this world. We can love the spirituality part of things, but the dogma seem to be not in tune with us. Now, truthfully, when we look at a lot of people hate religion for the reason that religion tries to control people, religion is owned by a lot of bad people, because all religions are absolutely the same. There's no difference between any religion in the world. And that is a fact. Okay? Does anybody disagree in this room? I ask people all around the world, who disagrees? A person that's religious. Because the path to God is only through this path. Not only the path to God is not only this through this path, but if you do not walk through this path, you're not going to get to enlightenment. There's a joke about, this person went up to heaven and he's getting a tour. He's a VIP, one of the spiritual people. And he's going room by room and he says, okay, here's the Catholics and this is the room. Each one has a special room. Like in this world, they're separated, so we have to give them. They were good people, so we have to give them a room, going room by room by room by room. And there's different. The end of the joke is different people, so I'm not gonna. And these people, whoever they are, I don't want to speak bad about people. These people, don't speak too loud. We have an isolated room for them. They think that they're the only ones here, right? So. The path to everybody's going to get to enlightenment if they're true. Somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago, how do I know I'm walking in the right path? One of the things we're going to talk about today. How do I know I'm walking the right path? Whether it's a spiritual path or any path in my life. How do I know? So many times we walk and we find ourselves and then we start doubting ourselves in life. We make so many mistakes in life, right? So we have doubts. We have uncertainty that I'm walking the right path. The walking the path is everything is my consciousness where I am at. If I'm at truth and I really want to find enlightenment, even if I walk in darkness, I will find enlightenment. But if a person walks in the path of light and the intention is not true, will all the time find themselves in darkness. So if you're walking a path, and maybe that path, maybe the pastor or the priest or the lama, maybe those people are not that positive. Maybe they have wanting to control people, but their wisdom is true. Doesn't influence the wisdom, okay? So you can go through different paths and still find enlightenment. I want to separate those two. It's very important. And the reason I want to separate those two, although there's very bad people, does not make the wisdom bad. All spiritualities, if you look at the person that started them, those people are very unique people in the world. The words that they came out of their mouth and the books that they wrote were very, and they talked about the same thing. That's what's so amazing. No matter if they came from China or they came from South America or they came from, and they had no connection, only now in the past, 100 years we have connection with different worlds, or maybe 400 years, but before nobody. And then you bring all these wisdoms from native Indians, and all of them are talking about the same thing, the same path of enlightenment. Maybe they use different words. And then somehow, throughout time, bad people found a way that the best way to control people is through spirituality and religion. So then, we have a bad path. So now, few things I learned from that. And I learned for myself that I want to not only enlighten myself, I found that if I help enlightening other people, my life becomes better. Is that it doesn't make a difference what religion you are from. It doesn't make a difference what you believe in. A lot of times we come to some place, and because the person has doubts and uncertainty about what they are in, they're trying to inflict that on you and you have to do this, because if you don't do this, then there's something maybe wrong with what I do. Then people don't have a place to go. Because even the places I found that are extremely enlightened, when you come, they want you to do exactly what they do. It's part of what they do. They don't do it in a bad way. But then it makes a place for, where should I go? Every place I go, I feel uncomfortable for some way, because maybe I don't want to take off my shoes. Or maybe I want to dress the way I want to dress. Some places you have to dress very, I want to dress the way I want to dress. And maybe it's not the way that they are dressing there. Communities like to, that's how we live. So the first thing is I wanted to create a space that everybody feels comfortable. That there's no religion whatsoever there, and all the religions are there together. So if somebody prays this way, that's good, and somebody meditates that way, that's good. I don't want to change anybody, okay? So I want to create a space, that's Soulfusion, where everybody can fuse themselves and infuse themselves with their enlightenment, but also be in a community. What's the power of being in a community? We can help each other. We can assist each other. A teacher is very important. A friend is very important. And a community is very important. But to create a place where we can be dependent on the community, but also be completely independent. And the second thing that later on I figured out, that each one needs their own spirituality. So if I teach somebody, yeah, it's nice to teach in a class, but I like to go and get to know every single person and see how I can help them, if they want, obviously. If I can help them to get to that enlightenment on their own. But for each individual, when you come to learn anywhere, wherever you go to study, get that peace. You're not strange. You're not different. You're actually you. So therefore, don't feel that you're going to a church and you like 70% and you don't like those other things. That's fine. That's not for you. And maybe other people don't agree with you, but that's okay. You need to understand that you have a connection. We don't go to temples because that's where God is. Although that's what they tell us. You want to go to a temple, go to a church, go to a religious place in order to connect to God. God, or what Kabbalah calls the endless light, or what Buddhism calls emptiness, or each religion calls it different, it's we are swimming in it. I was reading something yesterday. It was saying that God, it's just a word that we're using, actually it's not even translating. I speak Hebrew, so or Aramaic, the ancient language, and there's not even a name for God. God is a Christian word, but I'm gonna all the time use that because that's the word that most people use, but I'm gonna change it to light. Okay, the essence we don't understand, but the light of the sun we do understand. The light is something that we feel that emanates inside of us and around us, and the whole entire universe is one. We will call that the endless light. So when everything is, the whole universe is one, and that's what we want to connect to, the oneness of the world. That oneness of the world is a space, and we live in that space. So we are surrounded, we're actually swimming within this energy that the minute we meditate, the minute we close our eyes, we feel something that surrounds us. Some of us have especially experiences of it, certain times in our life where we feel more enlightened. Most of us know that there's something more than just me, my life, and the surrounding, the physical reality. But quantum physics already figured that out. So these people that are not spiritual, go calculate it. You can't use a cell phone without quantum physics. And when they go and see what's the particles going smaller and smaller and smaller, what's the building block of the world? They found that the building block of the world is one. They don't understand it. They don't understand how it could be. They don't know the implications of it, although some of them tried. But the whole entire universe is one. Now there's a few difficulties for quantum scientists to go, and that means if the whole universe is one, and then you and me and you, all of us are one. We are one with everything around us. We like to be separated. We like our privacy, we like our domain, we like our little life that we have, or big life that we have, right? So it's a little bit difficult for us to have that individuality and have that collective in the same time. However, we know that this collective exists. It's a physical, spiritual, and when you go into your truth inside of it, you know that it's true. So now, how do we bridge between these two worlds? I'm going to more talk about it on the second class. By the way, there's another class we're coming after just decided to give 2 topics to people, and then some people can come earlier, some people come later. And then I'm going to talk about more about how to bridge this into our life in a more practical way. But what we want to understand today is that whatever we're interacting in our life, although we like to stay in our own domain because we understand it more, we like to stay in our own domain because there's a reason. Our spark of light that's inside of us, what most people call a soul, is individual. And there's a reason for that individuality. There's a reason why things in the world are separate, although we are one. So there's a benefit of having this oneness, and there's a benefit of having the individual. But when we look at relationships, whether it's a relationship with ourselves, foremost, relationship with ourselves means there's different parts to us, right? We have parts that we can see is our life around us, all the physical things and the people that are around us, right? And then we have our house, a little domain, and maybe some people live in that house, okay? Maybe not. Sometimes some of us live by ourselves. And then we have our body, different entity. And then we have our energy that governs that body. Then we have our thoughts, and our thoughts are divided into many thoughts, but the easiest ones are negative and positive thoughts. So we have different parts to who we are. Everybody sees that? Yeah? So that relationship is already, most of us have in some parts in our life, maybe not in this moment. Somebody said to me, I don't have any conflict in my life, but we have conflict in our life, okay? Maybe not in this second. And that conflict is with ourselves. Everybody relate to that? Yeah, I want to see a nod from everybody. Okay. So, and then we have, when we start interacting outside of ourselves, things get even more complicated, right? When we have to interact with our friends, and we have to interact with our roommates or with our family, and we have to interact with our workers and co-workers, okay? We have to interact with the world every minute of the day. We're interacting with something. We're interacting with this chair. Some things, that interaction has no problem, but some things, there's a problem, I forgot my keys at home, right? Now I have to go home, or what I'm going to do, and now I'm going to be late to another place. Or the car doesn't work, or I need something in my life and I don't have it. There's interaction also on a physical level with different things around us. And then if that interaction happens in a very short span of time, then that can even affect our mind and affect our well-being, and we get stressed as the first step, and maybe even get more than stressed when we get too overwhelmed and we don't have answers. And some of us have mini breakdowns, some of us have major breakdowns. And then we try to find solutions to all these conflicts. And then we find one solution here, and we try it, and then it works maybe a little bit, like taking the Tylenol. So the headache goes away for 4 hours or more, but then it comes back the next day. So what we try to solve a problem is as I learned it first, is like you have a leak in the wall. So you find a leak in the wall and you try to patch that leak. Cool. And then the leak becomes bigger, and then maybe you go to Home Depot and ask a few questions, and they give you a different thing, and you start patching, and then you see, okay, this is a problem. You call somebody to help, a handyman to help you, and he starts patching the different parts of the leak. But what you really need is to call the plumber that will go and break down the wall and go to the source of that leak and fix the leak, right? That will be the most, that will be the smartest thing to do, right? What we do in life is we patch the leaks because we do not understand the source of the problems that we have. And we try to find a solution because that's who we are, because we are very inquisitive people, and we're very smart. All of us are very smart. So we try to find ways to fix the problem. But if you do not understand the root of the problem, you can't fix the problem. And because we are limited with our five senses to see what's around us, so we can only work with what's around us. And then we start to learn a little bit of what things, okay, the world is more than just me, you. Maybe we go to a psychologist, and then maybe we go to a therapist that maybe understands a little bit about the spiritual world. And maybe we go to this class about religion. And maybe we go to try to understand really the root of things. Where does everything come from? There seems to be that we're getting some answers, we're dabbling with some answers, but we can't understand the root. One of the difficulties is usually when we go to learn spirituality, we go take any class, sometimes we need to understand that not one class will help me. But a lot of times when we go to study something, maybe it doesn't resonate with me. Maybe this is not the solution for me. What we're going to learn today is a little bit about that relationship. A little bit of understanding the most difficult part of changing is understanding that the root of everything around us is me. Now it makes sense because when you throw a rock into a pond, right? You see many, many circles of the pond. And maybe you're now at the edge of the pond and you only see the circle, you don't even see the impact. Or maybe now, an hour passed. You see the ripples, but you don't even see the stone, right? We are dealing with ripples. But those ripples, the point of impact is me. I'm the point of impact all the time. Very difficult when it comes to specific situations in our life, very difficult for us to see it, because maybe that point of impact happened 20 years ago. Or maybe that point of impact happened a few lifetimes ago. Things are not as simple as things seem to be. And sometimes when we see a difficulty in our life, and that difficulty is with a very, very negative person, very hard to see how me, a pure person, and we are pure, compared to this darkness, how am I the point of impact of this situation? Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, for sure. So now those some situations in our life, I can understand where I'm the impact. Maybe even if I'm enlightened enough, I will go and look and say, you know what, I understand how I created this conflict. But the first thing that I learned, it does not make a difference what is happening around you, because you can never change anybody. Like nobody can change you, you can't change anybody. So you can cry about it all day, and I can tell you, you know what, you're right. This person is like complete darkness. Does it help you? I can say, yes, these are the reasons, not me, but anybody. You go to anybody, talking to anybody, and they say to you, yeah, you know what, you're right. Does it help you that you're right? You won't change it. So start taking control does not mean that you are responsible for that person's darkness. But the point of impact created that person for whatever reason that maybe you don't know, and maybe you'll never know why that person came into your life. But one thing you know, you're the only one that can change it. Now, how do you change it? The first step is to look inside of you. If you notice, we need mirrors to see how we look, right? Very strange. Like, whoever created us did not think maybe we should have a system besides mirrors that were invented later on, how to look. And mirrors can only show our external. We cannot see our faces, right? Anybody thought about that before? Like a very strange thing. Why wouldn't we be able to see? Our eyes look outside. Our ears hear outside. Now the truth is, our eyes can see inside, right? That's why in meditation we close our eyes. We actually close our five senses try to keep a place that's quiet. Maybe we'll turn in music in order to distract us a little bit, right? We can look inside of us internally, although our senses look outside of us. Now, if we do not stop looking outside of us and not look inside of us, we can never understand who we are. But we are the point of impact. We are the place of change. But we are busy all our life with everything else but me. But me. And even when we go to look at me, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we get distracted more. Yes, but this happened and this part. Like, even if we go and we say, okay, I am going to change. I understand my problem is anger. I understand my problem is depression. I understand I have all these difficulties. And now I'm going to start, really, I'm meditating. I took my path and I'm starting to work on it. Immediately, when I step out of this door, immediately I'm bombarded with the world that shows me that look what this person did to me, and look what this person is doing. All the triggers outside of us. Now, we can ask, why? It's a good question. Okay, why is the world built in this way? And I'm not going to go today to the root of it. I'll talk a little bit about it in the second class and a little bit about it in the future. But the world was created as one. Okay? Everything is one. We know that, just not even understanding how we came here through the Big Bang and what happened exactly there. But we know that the world is one. And then the Big Bang happened. That the Big Bang is something that's not only talked by a nuclear physicist or by physicists, but it's talked by Kabbalah, it's talked by Buddhism, it's talked by any spirituality, all of them saying it in different words, that everything was one, and suddenly it burst and created this world. So now we're in this world, and we have different entities, different parts of that great light. And each one of us is part. So we are part of the whole, and we're individuals. Now, we are living, let's take our small little universe, not to go to the whole universe, but take our small little universe, and we include this small universe with our friends, with our families, the people that we work with, people that we interact with on a daily basis, and people that maybe we don't interact on a daily basis, but influence us a lot in our lives. So maybe we interact with them in the past, but they still exist in our life, okay? That is our domain, okay, of people that we interact with. Well, we think we're interacting with different people. We're interacting with different things. The truth is, we're just one body, and the body is interacting with each other. Okay? So I'm taking the big universe where everything is united. Does everybody agree on that statement? Does anybody have a question about the totality of the world, the unity of the world? Does it resonate with what you believe in and what you know? Is that a yes? Yes? Yeah? Yes? But now that's too big. It creates time, space, motion, creates past, present, future. Too much. I'm going to go and take that small world. In this small world, your friend, your enemy, the people you're living with, all these people are really one with you. Right? According to this is just a piece of the mountain, right? Piece of the mountain, exactly the same as the mountain. Our difficulty is we look at people around us as completely different than us. Different individuals. Now, some of those individuals, we actually like them, or somewhat like them, at least some of the times. And we brought them into our little smaller circle, right? As we call them friends, and we call them lovers, and we call them family, And some of them we don't even have a choice, but we interact with. Why are we interacting with those people? And when we meet those people, we feel certain feelings with those people that cannot be with the time period that we know these people. I'm not talking about the people you know all your life. The people you know only for 6 months. Why am I interacting with that person? So we say, oh, I like that person. I have things that are affinity. We come from the same. But think about those relationships. Do you see that those relationships are a little bit more deeper than you have with other people, right? Some people we connect to, and some people we don't connect to. What is the reason for that? And the reason for that, because those people are the same part, different parts of the same body. So it's like if you have this company, big company, and there's the CEO of the company, and the CEO has people working for them, okay? And then there's people working for them and then to the end, and the company is built with 10,000 people. All these 10,000 people are interacting with each other. All these 10,000 people are influenced by each other, right? Something that the CEO does trickles down all the way to the people down there. Something that the little person that, cleans the bathrooms, if he doesn't clean the bathroom, you go to the bathroom and the bathroom is not clean. We have this interaction with all the people that are working in the company. Similar to this, we have that interaction with everybody around us. So we need to understand that we are a point of impact. In one way, we are individuals in the whole scheme of things. So each one of us, so let's say, I'm your friend, right? So I have a point of impact, and also you have a point of impact. In your point of view, the whole world surrounds around you, and that's how it looks like. In my point of view, all the world surrounds around me. Now my job or my interaction, my responsibility is to understand what am I influence around me. How am I impacting the people around me, and not necessarily how the other people are impacting me. But understanding that I'm living in this world, that all of us are swimming together, and my job is not to understand everybody. My job is actually not to understand nobody. My job is only to understand me. I read this book. You heard about the 4 Agreements? Wonderful book, written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he wrote a few other books after, and one of the books that I read, he said, our job, if each one of us will be busy with loving themselves, this world will be the most perfect world in the world. He says, I'm asking everybody, please stop being busy with other people. Just stop being busy with you. Are you going to say, is that the most selfish thing in the world? You can't, if you think you're selfish, then go. The only thing you want to give another person is love. You can't give love to, you know why you can't give love to other people? Why you have a difficulty to give love with other people? Only for one reason alone. Because you don't love yourself enough. If you would love everything that's around you, you would emanate that love to everybody. And that's the best way. Because go 30 years back, in Israel you have to go to the army. In Israel, there's a lot of conflicts, and these conflicts are not history. These conflicts are going on. People, amazing people, my best friends are people that are not Jewish. Actually, Palestinians are my best friends. And now we're living in one world with a lot of bad people trying to create conflict. You have to go to the army. You have to try to find what you're going to do. Somebody's attacking you, you have to defend yourself, right? That makes sense, right? But after all this time living, and later on in my life, I found every single time you try to defend yourself, you try to stand up on your own ground, you try to create some mediation. What's a war? A war is after the diplomatic things don't work, now I'm going to try to go through war to protect myself. Every single time in our life, going to our individual, every single time we go to a fight, every single time we go to a conflict, it makes things worse. Never. No war ever solved any problem. Just look at history. There's only one thing that can solve a problem is love. Only one thing. You're going to say, but if somebody slaps me on the face, should I turn the other cheek to slap? No, just go to another room. Why you have to turn your other cheek to get another hit from somebody? But that, if you understand that you're living in your life, and the only thing you can do, if we spread love around the world will look different, right? It won't solve all the problems in the world. There'll still be people that will hate each other. But at least I'm not going to add to that conflict. Because it doesn't work. But why do we have that urge to get angry, to resolve our conflicts through not the best way? And sometimes we do it because we lose control. A lot of times we do it because we lose control. We say the stupid word, or we said something and now the other person is now attacking us and we're attacking them, and we're going back and forth and we're creating this whole conflict between two people. Sometimes we don't even remember what triggered all this. And the reason is because within ourselves, we're not at peace. And when we're within ourselves not at peace, and when somebody attacks us and triggers us, then we go and look at that person. That moment when I go and look at that person and I don't go look within myself, creates a snowball effect. And what is the reason I don't look at myself? Even if I do. Even now I'm on a spiritual path, and I'm starting to look inside myself and trying to understand. And even if I go and I speak to somebody and I see, or I speak to myself, so many times, how many times it happened to me, and I'm sure it happened to you, where you said, the conflict is me. I create, this is where I take the responsibility, and nevertheless, when I go and I meet this person says something wrong, and that's all spirituality goes out of the window. Yeah, you relate to that? Why does that happen? Because the minute you start looking within yourself and taking full responsibility, it's not comfortable. Not comfortable at all. But when we go and do that, we say, you know what? Nevertheless, I know that I'm the trigger for everything. I can only work on myself. I can only become better. So I'm going to go and focus on myself. But the minute I go and interact with other person, the minute I can let go of that pain of looking within me, the minute I have that opportunity, we will take that opportunity. Because it's so difficult to look inside of us. The reason we can't look inside of us, the reason our eyes look around, because we can't handle who we are. We don't love ourselves. If we go and do meditation, and I say, when we go on a spiritual path, anybody that takes a spiritual path sees that the spiritual path of looking within ourselves, we're not so happy with the things we did in our life. We're not so happy with it. The easiest thing to do is to create these walls around us that I'm not to blame for everything. There's other people that are also to blame. How do we go and look inside of us and feel at peace of who we are? And when we feel at peace of who we are and we can start loving ourselves, then it'll be easier to go and love others. That was, by the way, a mouthful. So I do not know where each one is. I'm looking at everyone. I'm trying to talk to you with my words and with my brain, but then I'll try to talk to you with my soul. And I'm not so sure everybody is on the same page with me. I know you understand what I'm saying, but I want to take this moment to see if anybody has questions. You have to have questions. You can't be. I said too much. Yes.
So, in terms of relationships, when you're talking to somebody, or when you're dealing with somebody you care about, and there's feelings for that person, whether it's family or somebody else, and you have to take that time away to take care of yourself and learn to love yourself again. Like you said, you start realizing that sometimes maybe you might have been the point of impact, and then you start maybe guilting yourself into thinking, maybe had I done this in the past differently. But then you come out with that wisdom, and then if you take a look at it as like, now I have all of this knowledge to where now I'm more understanding, now I'm more patient, now I'm more caring. Like, at what point do you know whether, because you said like enlightening other people makes you feel good. So like, at what point do you go there and put your pride aside and just now loving yourself, go try to not change somebody, but maybe help them understand themselves without there being any conflict?
Very good question. But you have two things that you were talking about. So first of all, that's where I'm going to go into guilt. Guilt is the kill. If there's a poison in this world, that's the biggest poison that you can have. Guilt is the idea of guilt is not only completely wrong and completely false and a complete lie, but if we choose that path, we contaminate everything. Guilt is the poison of love. Poison against love. It kills love. Now, why do we feel guilty? Very simple. If I did something wrong, I feel that I created, maybe even I see the darkness that I created through that something that I did wrong. And I created all this garbage in the world. And now I feel guilty. Right? I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel guilty. Now, so you feel guilty. So what? What are you going to do about it? What do you do when you feel guilty? What happens with you when you feel guilty?
I pray about it.
You pray about it.
Mm-hmm. I apologize to who I obviously hurt and why I'm feeling guilty. If it's against somebody, you know.
The guilt did not do that to you. Your wanting not to feel guilty made you pray.
Right.
It made you go when you went out of the guilt. But the guilt sinks you into a dark hole, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So what you want to do when you're in a dark hole, you say, I want to pray and I want to do all
Find
these
light.
things. Find
right?
the light.
Mm-hmm.
But the guilt itself does not motivate you to ask forgiveness from another person. The guilt itself freezes you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true to everybody?
That's true.
Resonant? So guilt comes from a dark force. It's a darkness. I'm not going to talk a lot about darkness now. If you're going to stay to the next class, I'll talk a lot about darkness. Darkness is an entity. If you don't believe in it, look inside of you. There's a dark, even if you think that you have a dark spot in you, it's an entity that is very different than your soul. It's not who you are. Like we say, how stupid have I done this? Right? Because the darkness within us, because we are yin and yang, right? We are built with two forces together. We have the force that's within us and the force that surrounds us. Okay? Darkness wants us to fall into more darkness. Guilt is the best way to do it. So now, how you go out of guilt and connect to love? How do you love yourself after you do all the things you do? Very difficult. But I want to answer your question. The moment that you go to teach someone, it's like a little bit off the track, but also connected to what we're saying. The minute you start looking outside of yourself, you're in danger. You're in danger. Because the minute you look outside of yourself, even with all the good intention, the path to hell, they say, is full of good intentions. You can have all the good intentions. The reality is what is. So the first step is you need to see that thing that you want to help somebody. You need to see where you need to own it. There's an extreme that I don't completely believe in, but it's a good starting point. Ho'oponopono, if you've ever heard of it, it's a wisdom from Hawaii, okay, very ancient wisdom. And they teach, you go look inside of yourself, same thing, okay? And that's what, you want to help somebody? Look inside of yourself more. And the more you're going to look inside of yourself, you're going to heal everybody around you. Is that true? Absolutely. Absolutely. This guy that wrote the book, I'm going to remember the name of the book, I'm very bad with names.
Zero Limits.
Zero Limits. Okay? In that book, true story, okay? This person is in, he's a psychologist, and he became the head of the worst ward of crazy people. These people are mentally insane, and they killed people, and these people are dangerous people. And he was put there, and he said, the only thing that I want is I'm willing to run this whole place, but I do not want to meet anybody, any of the patients. So he says, how are you going to run it? He said, I'll run it through other people. You want me to run this place? That's what I'm going to do. What he did for the 5 years, I think, that he was there, he was looking at people's, all the patients.
Charts.
What?
Charts.
Yeah, the charts. Yeah, the charts. And everything about them and everything that's written on a daily basis. And what he did, he used to open it and look within him. Took responsibility for every single, these people are part of my life, exactly what we are talking here now. That every single person is part of my domain. If these people came into my life, they're part of my domain. And I take full responsibility for everything that go on. And he did his also healing, so he sent healing to all these people. In 5 years, the whole place was closed down. People that didn't want to come to work suddenly wanted to come to work. People did not last there as workers for more than 3 to 6 months. Suddenly people are lasting for a longer time. People are happier. I don't know if he cured the whole entire place, but the place closed down, and that's already a positive thing that happened. That's a little extreme, okay, to only do that. But I want to take the positive part. That's a good starting point. When you start your path, you all the time, whatever you do, first look within and heal the surroundings. Okay, meditate on it. And people say, I don't know how to meditate. Just close your eyes. You close your eyes, take a deep breath. You're already meditating. Meditate on it. Now you feel still an urge to help people. You have to ask yourself if you're helping those people because of pure love, or you're helping those people because of your ego.
Is it an invasion of the people's energy if you're pushing your energy onto them without them knowing?
Let's for sure. Oh, invasion? No, we live in the same world. Mm-hmm. Our job is to cleanse reality. We're not invading anybody because we live in the same pot.
If our energy sphere goes out and affects people around us without them knowing it, is that an invasion to the person that's in the room? That's my one question.
Okay, so the invasion means that you're living on your own, and the people around you are not living in the same pond. You're living in the same pond. What you're influencing is the pond. Now, is it going to influence them too? Yes, because if they live in darkness, and you made that place more light, obviously that's going to influence them. The same way, if you bring darkness to the world, so we invade people's privacy anyhow. The question is if we're going to invade it in a positive way or a negative way. But we're really not invading their private because we are living in the same pond.
Because we are energetic beings, and depending on your state, that's what you're going to ripple out, right?
Yes, but you come from the point, most of us come from the point of view that you are different than me.
Yeah.
You're not different than me. We're living in the same world. And then maybe, still have doubt, maybe, and all the time question yourself, are you helping that person? You have to ask yourself, very dangerous to be a teacher. of any sorts. My teacher, he used to say all his life, he has a very spiritual person. If there's somebody with good intent, he will all the time have it. You will look around, you'll be pure, okay? Every minute of the day. That's what he says. I think, should I say something? Should I not say something? Should I say something? All day he's in conflict. I should say something because if I don't say it, then the person doesn't know and I should say. But then if I say it, two things. One, I'm going out of me. And two, maybe I'm going to influence that person for wrong. We all the time assume that we are geniuses and everything we're going to say is going to influence the person for good. How many times we made mistakes? But then, nevertheless, should we help other people? For sure. We should teach people and give them the space. That's why I'm creating this place called Soul Fusion, is to create that when we are together and trying to help each other, we create it as just, I'm trying to teach you something that I learned. Maybe it's good for you or not. It was good for me. You know, here it is. And then maybe you'll be in that space. Okay? So, yeah.
Is there such a thing or a phrase, I can't help that person?
I don't understand your question. What's the question?
The question is it possible to help? You'll hear other people say, I can't help that person. They need to help themselves.
Okay.
Is that a false statement? Can you help?
You're talking about something general. Yes and no. Depends where you're coming from.
Okay.
If you're coming from a place of love and care, you can help somebody. But the way you're going to help somebody is to change. I'm not going to, because when we think help, most of us is because we're using words. So I want to say, what does it mean help? Invasion of privacy, invasion of somebody. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to have help. Right?
Right. No, I'm just saying.
So your statement, I understand what you're trying to say. I want to separate your statement into two.
Oh.
Depends where you're coming from. But you cannot help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves.
Right.
You cannot invade anybody's privacy.
Right.
It's not going to work. They need to have a desire to want you to help them.
So it's better to ask first.
Ask, feel.
To feel.
But first step, see, first of all, if you're in the space that you even can help them.
Well,
And if you're in the space that you can help them and you really want to help them, you have to see if they want your help.
if they want the help.
Maybe the help should not come from you, it should come from somebody else.
Right.
Sometime help, why should it have to come from you? Maybe, especially if you are involved, the more you're involved with somebody, first thing I say to people that come to me, any kind of couple, and any family, do not try. Don't help them. Don't help them. You're the wrong person to help them.
Right.
And what kind of a relationship will be? I started that way. I was married, and I was married with a very spiritual woman, and she was trying to teach me, and I was trying to teach her. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And what kind of a relationship is that? Trying to teach each other? That's relationship? I'm just put that as a big thing. Now you really want to help them? Okay, now let's try to find maybe somebody else will help both of us. Or maybe if there's a conflict between both of you. And maybe we'll find somebody else to help you, but usually we are the wrong. And that will be help. But as helping from my brain, from my entity, not a good idea. And if you have conflict with somebody, you're not the person to help them.
I was going to say like a neutral ground, somebody that's not tied to you or those emotions or that connection. in a sense, right? Like,
For sure.
it's like they have therapists, counselors, marital
There's
counseling, things
so
like
many
that,
spaces around the world that we can find help.
Right.
But what's the difficulty? Now let's go back to where, let's learn. So we understand that that's the best place to go. I mean, makes sense. So why don't we want to go there? Because we want to help them. Why we want to help them? Because we want not to take the responsibility for me.
Oh my God.
So now if I take responsibility for me, and they take responsibility for them, and now we go to what Javi is saying, should I help them? No, never. How about that? Never. First go in. Now you go into yourself. Now you connect to the love inside of yourself. You resolved whatever you resolved within you. And by the way, you're seeing that, wow, already a miracle is happening. Your relationship is already becoming better. Right? Even if the other person is just a little bit looking in themselves and you're really looking at yourself, already the relationship is better. Now maybe you can come to a space to suggest maybe we still have conflict. Maybe let's go and ask for help. But first we should look within us. And that is not an easy thing to do. So now when I feel guilty, because that will be the first thing I do, I feel guilty. I need to wash. Like you go to bathe every day, you go and bathe, right? You don't go to bathe one day, you'll smell a little bit the next day, right? We need to wash ourselves. We were talking about prayer, whether it's meditation, whether it's incense, whatever you can do, try to and learn about how do I clean my environment. But the thought is, any guilt is darkness. It's only going to take you more and more down. And the reason that the guilt is taking you more and more down, because it's actually an entity of darkness. Yeah.
Is blame and guilt the same?
Blame on you? You're taking the blame?
Am I taking the blame?
Guilt.
Is the same as guilt?
Yeah.
Same thing.
But if I'm focusing
Different
that
word.
I'm a creator of my environment, that's different than blame. Blame, I did something wrong. So now what is the conclusion? If I didn't do something wrong, so what did I do? So to ease our mind, so any more questions about that? Because I want to go. If Alex, can you just slide the door a little bit that way? Because I want to look at the clock. I want to be where I can talk here all day. And okay, good. Yes,
So, what would
but only about this, not
Yeah.
about. Okay.
what would be some good ways to cleanse yourself from guilt? Like, what are practical ways that we can practice?
It's not about this class. Meditation is the best thing. And we're going to do, not in this class, in the next class, we're going to do a small meditation. But people tell me that they can't meditate. By the way, if you meditate for 5 seconds, you already you meditate for 1 second, you're already meditating. Now, if you're meditating, you're bombarded with a lot of thoughts. Everybody meditates and they're bombarded with a lot of thoughts. So don't say, I'm meditating, I'm bombarded with a lot of thoughts, or I can't meditate. No, you meditated and you were bombarded with a lot of thoughts. But I only can meditate for 60 seconds. Okay, you meditated. Meditated for 1 second is powerful. And what I want to bring in this, because you talked about cleansing, and I want you to go with some power if you can't stay for the next class, and you never did meditation. When you start breathing, you close your eyes, you disconnect from the physical reality. That's why we close our eyes. You need to be in a place where it's quiet, therefore your ears won't be. Your thought, not important right now. You can be bombarded with thoughts, that's fine. You breathe through your nose, very important. You can breathe out whatever you're comfortable, through your nose or through your mouth, but very important to breathe through your nose. And when you breathe, I want you to think you're breathing life. You're breathing life and you're blowing out life. A lot of people do meditation where they breathe in light and then breathe out darkness. Breathing in light and breathing out light is the same thing, does the same effect, but just you're only surrounding yourself with light. And why it's life? Because strange thing, we can live without water, without food, without shelter, we cannot live a few seconds without air. Actually, when people say, I don't believe in God, just close your eyes and start breathing. The first step, the closest thing to God, to us, is air. Because we can't live without air. And when you start breathing in and breathing out, and then you can connect that to any meditation you're doing. So if you already know how to do meditation, it's already good. What you want to do is you want to clean all the negative thoughts that's in your head. So the more negative thoughts in your head, the better. More to clean.
Yeah, right?
So what darkness wants to tell you, because darkness is an entity without going into details. Darkness is an entity. What it will tell you? You're not meditating. Complete lie. You're meditating. You just close your eyes and you're breathing. How many times a day you can do that? You can do that 100 times a day. Nobody controls the idea of what, again, it's your life. You create your own path. Whatever that path will work for you will be better, will be good.
I learned a tool about that, releasing the thought up. As you're releasing it, you see the thought leaving your head, going to universe, Mother God, whatever you can think of. See it releasing, at the same time pulling in positive energy as you're releasing it. And this is a technique that was taught.
There's
Every
many,
time
many
it's
beautiful
taught, it
techniques, and this is one of them, that the Buddhists do. But let's not complicate ourselves with techniques. All techniques are good. Again, how do I know if the technique is good? If you're going with truth, your soul knows better than anything else. But I want to simplify it. Even the ones that are doing these complicated meditations, but they're doing it only one time a day. Better to do 10 meditations for 10th of the time than to do one meditation a day. Because we are bombarded all the time. I say at least 3. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, somewhere in the middle of the day. Stop yourself. Not to take away from what you said. Very powerful. So now, I'm breathing, letting go of guilt, because guilt is not the answer. So what is the answer? Right? Because we're looking for the pipe where it burst. Where did the pipe burst? The pipe burst in the Big Bang. In next week, I wanted to do it in 2 weeks to give time to people, but I guess that we're not going to give time to people because I need some people to be here. We're going to do it next week. The class I'm going to give next week is going to be 3.5 hours, or it's going to be 3 hours. We'll take a break in the middle. And it's going to be how to bring all this practical. We're going to talk about meditation. We're going to talk about angel and guides. We're going to talk about darkness. We're going to talk about a lot of things that I didn't have time, but the whole purpose is how do I bring it practical? Are you going to be master magicians after that? Not yet, but you will be, at least you will have tools to go out and change your life. I promise that. I guarantee that. How do I guarantee that? I have a lot of experience with people. Very few people don't have no change. Some people have more change, some people have less change, and it's not enough to come and learn a class and that's it. Life is, whether you continue learning with me or with us or with anybody else, you're not going to change your life in 5 seconds. But what I try to do is I try to bring things like today. You have tools today to go home with, okay? But I need a little bit more time to make those tools extremely powerful. But what I want to go and tap, at least open the door. Today is going to open the door. And if you have a chance to stay to the next class, that door will be even more open. So regardless of how the Big Bang happened and why the Big Bang happened, it did happen. And when it happened, it created a break shatter of all the different entities, right? Because there was one entity. And now there's infinite amount of entities that we are one of them. And the people around us are a few of them. Having that space of different people, of different entities, already is the problem. Not a problem, it's the reason why we came here. The vessel shattered in the time of the Big Bang. Actually, the physical Big Bang, a second before that, created a spiritual Bang. It was a pure energy. When you're going to go into the Big Bang, when you look at the theory of Big Bang, there's a burst, there was one energy and it burst. Okay? The minute it burst and created separation, that is already the world that we live in. Now we think we create more separation, that's why we feel so guilty. So, as many separation as you think you're creating, you added a little bit more darkness to what is already there. You should feel bad about it? No, you just touched it. Every time we do something negative, we touch negativity and we create what? Do we create new negativity? No. We just attach ourselves to negativity. And we create ripples, seem to be, that create so much chaos in the world, right? So much chaos in our life. That's why we feel guilty, right? Now I have a conflict with this person. Let's try to bring it specific. So I have a conflict with somebody. Everybody can relate with that, right? I have a conflict with somebody, and that conflict was created not only because of them, also because of me. Maybe even mainly because of me. How about that? I created so much chaos around my life. You didn't create nothing. The chaos was there already. You just attached yourself to that chaos that already was created in the Big Bang. Did you make things a little worse? A little worse. But this much worse. So now you were separated this much. Now you're separated this much. You're separated from here to the moon. Now you're separated from here to the other side of the moon. You're already separated. We as souls do not create more darkness than it's already there. What we do is we surround ourselves, take that darkness and surround ourselves with that darkness. Feels terrible. Did we do something over time? No. Because who created the darkness already? Now, let's not talk about one lifetime. Let's say we believe we have many lifetimes. Or not many lifetimes, our ancestors, whether we look at our ancestors as previous lives or ancestors as people. Our ancestors, since the beginning of time, destroyed the world, right? Did we make the things worse from beginning of time to now? Yes. But I'm going to reveal to you a secret. How many times do we say when we do something, not the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, what do we say? How stupid have I did that? Right? We say that all the time. Especially things we know we should not do, and we did it. Seemed to be that, we're going back to it, we lost control. Even we go and we want to look at all the guilt. Now we're cleansing, we're doing breathing, cleansing. We're going to that point. How did I do that stupid mistake? Everybody's with me here? Yes? So if I did a stupid mistake, why should I feel guilty, first of all? If I did a stupid mistake, I should give a little slack to myself. I know I did a stupid mistake. Every mistake we ever did in our life was stupid. was not very few. Again, the people sitting in this room. Are there people that premeditated to do negative things? Absolutely yes. Sometimes it seems that we do that premeditatedly, meaning we have a selfish reason and we do things. Not the people sitting in this room. People sitting in this room are not that, you're not that type of people. We are not that type of people that we go and completely create negativity from nothing on purpose just to create negativity. I created the negativity and I partied and I did all this chaos through the partying. Look, I destroyed my life. Or I went, I got angry, and look how much negativity I created out. Now, I'm talking about the first second. The first second, that's what they say. I'm going to now put you something, but again, I'm going to talk in the next class a little bit more about it, okay? Or next week more about it. But now I'm just going to give you a given that will resonate with you. Darkness is an entity. Darkness has yin and yang, right? Darkness is there to do the opposite what we want to do. It's our other side. Okay? We want to create unity, love, happiness, and all these positive things. Darkness wants to create more darkness. Darkness has to do one thing. Make you stupid for 1 second. The rest we will do on our own. There's forces around us. Forces, some of those forces we created, some of the forces just around us. They're surrounding. We know that those forces exist because we feel them. Sometimes we'll go into a place and we'll feel crap. Sometimes we'll go into a place we'll feel good, right? Sometimes we'll be next to people, we'll feel negative. Sometimes we go with people and we feel good about it. So we are, whether, no matter how much developed spiritually we are, we do know, including people that are not spiritual whatsoever, now business coaches that are not spiritual, I'm not talking about the ones that are spiritual, talk about the idea of mind, your consciousness is everything, and talks about negativity all the time. They don't call it an entity, but they call it negativity, because negativity and darkness exist all around us. That force that is not us, I want to repeat that. That force is not us. Will give us a thought. Will focus our intention to the other person. Will make us think that the other person is wrong. For that one split of, not even a second, a split of a second. And if you take that thought in within you, you will do stupid things. And that thought is called a stupid thought by the spiritual people. No spiritual person, no divine, no soul will ever create negativity on their own. Ever. Without an influence of the outside. So therefore now, so we make mistakes. Yes. Do we make mistakes all the time? Yes. Are we weak? Yes. Not the reason for us to feel guilty. Not the reason for us to feel bad. What is the reason for us to do? To go pray, to work with the other person, to try to create more love, to try to create more peace, to learn more and more and more how to control my environment, because we have zero control over our lives. Zero. We start in our life with zero. Why? Because those forces never go to sleep, never lose control, the forces around all the time active and active and active and active. The only solution we have in our life is to learn how to control our life. Why I say we have zero control, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds. The whole world can blow up. What are you going to do? There could be fires. There could be disasters. Most of the things, good and bad, that happens to us just happen. How much do you have control over your life? Very little. And the things that we have control over our life, really we do not have control. The step to controlling our life is understanding we have no control. And when we have no control, now we can start having control. Meditation, start having control. Not feeling guilty and start seeing, wait a minute, I make mistakes in my life and I need to become better. I need to understand how to control my life that I don't do those stupid mistakes. But it's okay. Till I learn, I can't, I can say, okay, I look at my life. I'm not to blame for anything. I'm not to feel guilty for anything. I was just an idiot. I was just stupid. Whatever you want to call yourself. I don't care. You want to call it, I made mistakes. Whatever it is. Do not feel guilty about it because you had no control. And when you have no control over something in your life, what are you supposed to do? To grab control. That's also a path that I'm not going to talk about now. I'm not going to go into it. It's a path for you to give forgiveness for a lot of things other people do. Because you're not the only one in this game. This world, when you get to know it a little bit more, it's a little scary. It's a little scary world. Now, some people want to continue being like this, how you call that animal that goes into... Ostrich, right? Goes in and the ostrich can have the head in the sand, but still can get killed in 2 seconds, right? There's not going to help the ostrich not to know, right? Knowing is everything in life. Now, is it scary as it sounds? No, not that scary. We are, our soul of whoever we are, we have very powerful souls that we can control our surrounding. As I said, give me a little bit of time and I'm going to teach you how to start taking control. You're not going to master it, you're not going to be a master, but you can start seeing at least that you have the power to control. We are very powerful beings. But we are so much swimming in this darkness to think that we are nobodies. And every single time something happens, we try to blame the world or we try to blame ourselves. We can't be in a neutral space and saying, it's not the world, it's not us. There's forces of negativity, and I'm going to start controlling my life. How do I know we can control our life? Because even science, why I'm bringing science into the business, because science, they're not that intelligent, but at least they found the formulas that we can all agree that that is it. Science say mind over matter. Right? We control everything in our environment. We can control everything in our environment with our thought. So you're going to say, I'm not that powerful. I'm going to prove to every one of you that you're extremely powerful. How long it takes you to depress yourself and put yourself in a dark space? Does it take you a lot?
1 second.
1 second, right? It's so easy, right? Let's go and become depressed. Let's sit around the bonfire and tell all the sad stories about our life. And let's become depressed. 2 seconds. What kind of energy is going to create? Very dark energy. It's going to influence each other. All of us are going to feel terrible, and we're going to feel depressed, and maybe we'll need a little bit of drugs, and the drugs won't help us, We are depressed. Is that, when you get that way, does everything in your life become bad when you become depressed? Everything.
Perceive it that way, yeah.
Not only perceive it, but we actually, things just going worse and worse and worse and worse. Just prove to you the easiest way, because darkness has no disturbance, like I said, darkness is helping us. So when darkness doesn't disturb us to control our life, darkness controls zero. We control everything. So if darkness comes in, gives us a stupid thought, to become depressed, to feel guilty, to go inside of us, we are now in this negative space, and we attract all negativity from all around us. How powerful we are. Don't you think you can do that with positivity? Mm-hmm. For sure. But we are much easier for us to fall down into space. We control everything. If we are bringing positive starts surrounding us. Does it surround us immediately? No. Sometimes I have to go through all the darkness that I did. Wait a minute. Did yesterday control today? Yes. Did a week ago control today? Yes. A month ago control today? Yes. So if the past month you were doing all these negative things and negative thoughts and putting all to the garbage, this is part of what you're controlling in your life. Now you decided one day to wake up and I'm going to become spiritual. I'm going to start doing things with control. You think darkness will just walk away? No. So now we go through a place where we getting a little bit more positive and a little bit more positive. They created a lot of challenges to us. And then we come to a place where we start controlling. We have more control and less control of darkness. But we control our lives. But by doing nothing, we're completely in the control. We also the one that control. We're the one that decided. We have free will. We decided to go with negativity. We decided to create all that negativity. However, in the space that we were, in the space that we fell, when you fall and stumble, do you get angry at your leg that it stumbled? No. Do you say, stupid leg, why did you stumble? No. Because you stumbled. What can you do? That's our life. We need to become a little bit more lighter with the things we do. Take more responsibility for the future and not responsibility for the past is already gone. It's not existing. Only thing exists is what you do today. And just the mere understanding the guilt all the time takes us backwards. And when we take responsibility and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to change and I'm going to take control of my life, it takes me forward. They say I like football and I'm missing a very powerful game today.
No.
Yeah. But I knew there were going to be more women than men. Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's even. So they say the best quarterbacks in the world are the ones that forget what happened 2 seconds before. My team is the Patriots. Everybody hates me.
Oh.
Okay. Now you don't like me anymore.
No.
What's so great about Tom Brady? He forgets everything. You know, not only he forgets, he goes and he does it immediately now. He takes responsibility. You see it in life. It's successful people that are not. He's, by the way, he learns some spirituality. He does with, his wife is learning some spiritual things. I don't know. I just know that they have the door open. Every spirituality is good. Do not ever put the spirituality down if it gives you the space. But it gives it, you see with successful people that are not spiritual. Take Donald Trump. I don't know if he's spiritual or not. I don't know him. Doesn't look to be spiritual. Does this all the time. Doesn't care what he did now. He doesn't maybe care what he did because he doesn't care hurting people. Maybe you can say that, but doesn't make a difference. He goes forward and he controls his life. He all the time looks forward. He doesn't look backwards. Look at all successful people in the world. We'll tell you the same thing. What we do, we just go dwell in our negativity. Is those forces very powerful? Extremely powerful. I'm going to talk about them today, and I'm going to talk about them. If you can't stay today, and you're going to come next week to the seminar, or next time that we go, we're going to talk about those dark forces. They're extremely powerful. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you good news. They are this much towards us. So we can blow light. What happens? One strike of a match, darkness just disappears. So you don't even have to bring your full force of your soul. There's not a strike of a match. Full force of your soul is like the sun. But if you were able somehow to just strike a match, that force goes away. Where is the point? Who is in control? That's what you have to ask yourself in your meditation. Who's in control? The dark forces or me? So before I'm going to give time for questions, more questions, I want to end with a thought, with the process. So in your meditation, of course, do it, but now you have to practice. So meditation is not enough. We need to do that practice of the meditation outside in the world. So let's say we have a difficulty with somebody, okay? Choose one. I don't choose 10. And I choose one. I have 10 conflicts with one. I choose one conflict. Not all the time the hardest one. I choose sometimes the smallest one. I'll figure that one out, then I can go to the next one. So choose one person, one conflict. Okay? Now I'm going to meditate on it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look inside. When I'm starting looking inside and seeing all the different things that I'm responsible for, okay, now I'm going to maybe feel a little bit bad about it. I'm going to wash it. I'm going to take breath. I'm going to wash it. Because feeling bad about it, it's not. Darkness is powerful. You know what's the most powerful weapon that darkness has? It doesn't exist. Even now I'm talking about darkness. Does anybody have a doubt that darkness exists? Do you know darkness exists?
Me?
Yeah, both of you. Yes, 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 yes. So we know darkness. Where is it? I know some people that know, I know me. I know darkness exists. Does darkness get me all the time? All the time. It's a mass. It's like, you know, those magicians that make the things disappear. You go to the strip. That guy, I forgot his name. Powerful. He just makes things disappear. What's his name? The guy in MGM?
David Copperfield.
Yeah, David Copperfield. Right? Makes things disappear. He can make himself disappear, right? Boom. Darkness has that power. It does not exist. So even when after it planted the seed in your head, it doesn't exist. You need to bring that darkness and remember, darkness exists all the time. So now, the reason I did that action, the reason I created this darkness between me and that person is because of these dark forces. And now, I'm going to try to find a solution. First of all, through my meditation is the first step. And now I'm going to learn more about these dark forces, how to remove those dark forces from me, and how I can now take this power and create more love inside of me and more love around me. In the same time, very important, when you touch that point, it's a point that sometimes go like a candle, moves in, out, in, out, in, out. When you grab that point, that you take responsibility and you don't feel guilt. So you're at that point. You're not going to stay in that point for a long time. You're going to go back and forth with your thoughts. You know, when in that point, send love to that person. Just send love, right? Just send, that person is in the same space as you are. Maybe even not. Maybe that person is less spiritual than you. And that person is even, and send forgiveness, send love to that person to help them. Because they're in the same space as you. Is it going to take one time to do that meditation? No. It's going to take, depends how much walls you have between that person. Sometimes the walls are very big. Sometimes when we clean that wall, a new wall comes in. Just chopped up a little bit, get closer to each other, and now new relationship, new things come into to bear. New opportunities come to us to either get closer or get further away. And do not forget that force of darkness will create hate. Or if you have hate, if you have doubt, or if you have uncertainty with anybody, just know all those negative thoughts come from darkness. These are not thoughts that we own. So I call this class Trust. This path that I just gave you is the path to start trusting your soul, to start trusting you. Don't start trusting other people without trusting you. When you trust you, then you can start trusting other people. Also, when you start getting your garbage thoughts about other people, suddenly you see that people that are your greatest enemies could be your best friends. And sometimes your best friends could be your greatest enemies. But without trusting yourself and without loving yourself, you can't get to the second step, is not to trust other people, just to trust the environment around you. As much as there's darkness, there's many forces, angels, guides, light, that can assist us to remove all those negativity around us. I didn't have enough time to give, but this is the time that I have. The only good news is I'm giving another class at 1, so you're more than welcome to stay. And of course, I'm giving a class next week, okay? I do teach not only in classes, I do privates with people, okay? And they look as either healing. Some people need certain healings in their life, and I'm a healer, but I heal through teaching, not just, okay, let's heal, because then, okay, the person feels better, and then what the next step they do, they contaminate themselves and get sick again. We like to be sick we like to hurt ourselves sometimes, but there's a reason for that sickness, and it could be a mental, it could be physical, it could be, and I do coach, I do teach this wisdom and tailor it to individuals. So if you are interested to meet me, I have my cards there, or your friend brought you here, or you can give me a call or write a note and we can connect and just sit on a cup of coffee and get to know each other and see if I can help you. Second is I'm going to give these classes, and I'm staying in Las Vegas for that reason. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm slowly moving here because I see a lot of light here, and I got a lot of messages about it. So I'm going to give in the next few weeks classes here and in other places. The next class will be next week. You're more than welcome to register for it and come. Any questions? Good time. Has to be questions. I want everybody to ask me one question, even if it's small.
Okay, wrote this down, and you started.
And so can you say your name also to remind me?
Oh, Danielle.
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 Okay.
You said what you were quoting somebody. Whatever is not true for everybody. What was it?
Whatever is not truth for everybody is not the truth.
Is not the truth. Okay.
You can say it the opposite. Truth is when it's truth for everybody. I heard it both ways.
Gotcha. That was my only question.
Oh.
Because I looked at
What's your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Do you have any questions?
I have tried to meditate, but you said that having a million thoughts is you could still meditate that way. What if you just want to focus on one thing to make it more powerful? And try to meditate on it.
Okay, you need to learn meditation. Okay. You need to learn different systems in meditation in order to quiet those thoughts and then focus. I'm going to teach meditation, so if you come to my classes, I'm going to teach different I like things that are simple. The simplest things in the world are the easiest to do, and they're so powerful. The most complicated things, okay. If you become a master meditator, you need to know all the complicated ones. I'm going to teach simple things. But for now, just meditating and trying to clean your thoughts, you will see that if you do it, it adds up. So if you do it 3 times a day, even if it's for a minute, try to do it more than a second, but even if it's for a minute, you will see that after 10 days, 20 days, you will have more control over your thoughts.
Okay.
But it's all about doing it again and again and again. It's not about, okay, I did it 1 time or 2 times. It's not going to work.
Okay.
Yes.
So the point of meditation is to cleanse your thoughts so that you're just focusing on breathing and like you said, breathing in life, letting out life.
Yeah. That's the first step for meditation.
Okay.
Meditation has a lot of
course,
powerful things.
But yeah, I've never
But
meditated,
that
so.
is the most important part. And if you don't have that, all the other powerful things become less powerful. Not that they're not powerful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we forget this one, and we go to learn all these powerful meditation.
Right.
We forget to learn just how to breathe.
Okay.
You wanted to say something? I heard somebody from here. No?
You did too.
I did.
And then you changed,
Okay,
I answered
all
it?
right.
Okay. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Do you have any questions?
Not at this moment.
Okay. You don't have to. I just want to connect to everybody. You ask a question. How about you?
No, I just want to thank you for your time.
Yes.
No? Alex? Mark?
Out of all the books that you talked about,
what would be a good book to start with?
Okay. A book that I recommend to read is called Power of Kabbalah. Written by Yehuda, you won't remember his first name, Berg, B-E-R-G. It's a bestseller, but a true bestseller. It's sold in millions,
Oh, shit.
okay? And it's the most simplest. He's probably, by the way, I know him, a very good friend of mine. But if there's, I learned from him, but I'll never ever achieve what he does. He brings simple things, like he's talking to a little child, but you don't feel like you talk to, like he talks to a little child, but you don't feel it. You feel like, and then when you read his book again and again, you see like there's oceans in there. But when you read it, it's the easiest read, and everybody that reads this book resonates with what it says. He writes it for everybody, no matter what religion, no matter what. He doesn't believe in religion at all. That will be also a really good ground book if you'll continue learning with me. That will be an amazing ground book because things will be understood much more. Okay. Really nice having all of you here. I hope I see you in the next class, if not in the next week. And thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
And you can, by the way, come and talk to me.